So let's talk about how completely backwards our approach to starting a business usually is. Like, just imagine you spend weeks locked in your kitchen.
Right.
You're meticulously baking this elaborate 5-tier, incredibly expensive chocolate fondant cake. You've imported vanilla beans from Madagascar. You've spent hours on the delicate spun sugar.
You're just deeply invested in the craftsmanship of it all.
Yeah.
You've convinced yourself this is exactly what the event needs.
Exactly. And you carry it out to the party, so proud of yourself, setting it on the table, and then you realize nobody in the room even likes chocolate.
Oh, wow.
Or worse, they're allergic. Like, we bake the cake in secret without ever asking the guests what they actually want to eat.
Which is such a common trap.
It is, which is why today's duck dive is entirely focused on a brutal but highly effective antidote to that exact mistake. We're looking at the 90-day no-bullshit launch plan.
Yes, specifically extracting this from an excerpt of Chapter 3 of the book, Hustle Smarter, Not Harder.
Right. And our mission today is to pull out the exact blueprint to bypass all those perfectionist traps that usually kill new businesses. So you can turn an idea into a launched reality with a paying customer in just 3 months.
And, the text anchors this entire 90-day blueprint on a really uncomfortable truth. There's this guiding quote right at the start that says, "Done is the engine of income. Perfect is the enemy of launched."
Done is the engine of income. I love that.
What's fascinating here is how this immediately attacks the core vulnerability of every new entrepreneur. It exposes the fact that most of us use endless preparation as a shield.
Yeah, totally.
We convince ourselves we're building a flawless business model, but psychologically we are just hiding from the market. So this plan is entirely about momentum. It forces you to build an engine that actually moves.
Okay, let's unpack this blueprint then, because the text breaks the journey down into 3 distinct 30-day blocks. And the warning right at the top of the chapter is absolute: do not skip ahead.
No skipping.
None. The first block, so days 1 through 30, is purely about validation, confirming people actually have a problem and will gladly pay you to solve it before you even look at a bag of flour.
Yeah, the directive here is to define your offer. But the parameters for what constitutes a good offer are surprisingly tight.
How tight are we talking?
Very tight. It's designed to force extreme specificity right out of the gate. So you need to distill your idea into a one-sentence pitch. Can you clearly explain it to a stranger in 10 seconds?
10 seconds, okay.
Is the result you're promising specific and measurable? But the toughest stress test the source provides is your target audience so narrowly defined that you could realistically name 20 actual specific human beings who fit the description.
Wait, 20 actual people? By name?
By name.
That level of specificity really forces you completely out of your comfort zone. I mean, you can't just float around saying, oh, I offer life coaching.
Right, that's way too broad.
You have to pivot to a compelling, concrete outcome, like I help mid-career accountants transition into tech startups.
Exactly.
And if you can't name the actual people who need this, you're essentially admitting you don't know the market at all.
Which naturally forces you to go out and find them.
Okay.
And that brings us to a critical stage that text calls talking to real humans.
Okay.
You're instructed to reach out to 10 people who perfectly match your highly specific customer profile. But there is a massive catch to this outreach.
Yeah, this rule totally threw me when I read it.
You are explicitly forbidden from pitching them anything.
See, wait, if the entire goal of this 90-day sprint is to make money and launch a viable business, how does having a casual pitch-free chat help me generate revenue? I mean, it feels like we are deliberately slowing down the process.
It sounds counterintuitive, sure, until we look at the mechanics of early-stage business failure. Most people build a fully realized solution and then wander around looking for a problem it can solve.
Right. The chocolate cake.
Exactly. This pitch-free week flips that dynamic entirely. You are stepping into the role of a forensic investigator, not a salesperson. You are asking specific, diagnostic questions.
Like what kind of questions?
For example, the text suggests the magic wand question.
Oh, right.
If you could wave a wand and fix one single thing about your workflow or your health or whatever your niche is, what would it be? Then you shut up.
You just listen.
You listen 80% of the time, and you let them map out their pain points for you.
And there is a huge, highly practical pro tip in the source regarding how you listen during these chats. You are supposed to record or meticulously write down the exact, unedited words and phrases your prospects use to describe their frustrations.
Yes, word for word.
The author specifically warns against paraphrasing their answers into, like, professional jargon.
Because, as the author brilliantly puts it, Customers are always better copywriters than copywriters.
Yeah.
The messy, emotional, deeply frustrated language they use to complain about their problems, that is the exact marketing copy you need to use later to sell them the solution.
Right. So if a prospect says, I feel like I'm constantly drowning in spreadsheets every Friday.
You do not go build a website with the headline, Optimal Data Management Solutions.
Right. That sounds sterile and corporate.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You write, stop drowning in spreadsheets. It creates an instant visceral resonance because you are literally echoing their own internal monologue back to them.
That is such a massive hack. You're basically crowdsourcing your most effective marketing copy before you even have a product to sell.
Exactly.
So, okay, you know what they want and you know exactly how they talk about it. Now you have to actually put a price tag on it. The text calls this pre-selling, and this is where it notes that almost everyone freezes up.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're listening to this and panicking at the idea of asking a stranger for money before you even have a logo, that is by design.
Yep.
The source is actively trying to trigger your imposter syndrome early so you can just get over it. You're supposed to approach 5 of those potential customers and offer them the service at a founding client rate.
Right, which is a significant discount,
Yeah.
usually 30 to 50% below what you eventually plan to charge in the future.
Right.
And the key to making this work without feeling sleazy is complete transparency.
Yeah.
You just tell them, hey, I am building this exact solution we talked about. I want you as one of my very first clients at a special rate. And in exchange, I need your brutal, honest feedback to help me refine the process.
The math the text uses to measure success here is just beautifully simple but completely unforgiving.
Yeah, it's brutal.
If 2 out of those 5 people say yes, boom, you have a viable business, go build it.
Exactly.
But if all 5 hesitate or say it's not the right time or just say no, the market just did you a massive favor.
It really did.
It saved you months of wasted effort and thousands of dollars in startup costs. You thank them, you figure out exactly why it didn't land, and you pivot.
And to illustrate how powerful that pivot can be, the text shares the story of an entrepreneur named Tunde.
Oh, the CV guy.
Yeah, he was trying to launch a premium CV writing service. And during his pitch-free conversations in that first block of the plan, he realized his initial assumption about the market was completely wrong. His potential clients didn't just want a beautifully formatted Word document.
Well, yeah, their real pain point was entirely psychological. They were exhausted from sending out hundreds of resumes into the void and hearing nothing back.
Yes.
They felt rejected, insecure, and deeply confused about why their current CV was failing. So just handing them a new document wouldn't solve that underlying anxiety.
So Tunin adapted his offer on the fly based on that data. Before he spent a single minute building a fancy website or a payment portal for resume writing, he changed the structure.
What did he do?
He added a free 30-minute CV audit as a discovery call before anyone bought the paid service. He would walk them through exactly why their current resume was likely being ignored by automated algorithms or human recruiters.
No, that's smart.
And by solving that psychological need for understanding and clarity first, he built immense trust. His conversion rate from that free audit to his paid CV service skyrocketed to 70%.
Wow, 70%, because he validated the underlying emotion before he built the infrastructure.
Exactly.
And once you have that validation, the text insists you deliver the service to that first client, even if you have to do it clunkily over email and document every single step. Your goal is to extract a highly specific testimonial, not just, Tunde was a great guy and easy to work with.
Oh, nobody cares about that.
Right. You need tangible metrics, like my interview callback rate went up 200%. That beats a vague compliment every single time.
Definitely. That first messy delivery essentially becomes the rough draft of your future operations manual. You are building the tracks while the train is moving, but the crucial difference is that you actually have a paying passenger on board to justify the effort.
So let's say we have our passenger, we've got real people telling us they will pay for this, and we've successfully delivered the result. The validation is there.
Right.
The natural instinct at this point, and I know I am completely guilty of this, is to go out and spend $5,000 on a web developer, hire a branding agency, and get some premium embossed business cards.
Oh, the business cards, we all do it.
But the source throws up a massive stop sign here. To protect your momentum, it moves us into the second 30-day block, building the foundation.
Yeah, and it provides a minimum viable build list for this phase that is so lean, it might actually make some perfectionists deeply uncomfortable.
It's very lean.
The text is basically begging you to resist the urge to overbuild. You are permitted a simple landing page using a tool like Card for $19 a year, or even just a clean public Notion page.
No WordPress.
No massive multi-page WordPress sites, no complex e-commerce integrations, nothing like that.
It goes right back to my lemonade stand analogy. At this stage, you just need a sturdy table, a picture, and a clearly written sign.
Exactly.
The goal is not to have the most aesthetically pleasing, architecturally sound stand in the entire neighborhood. The goal is to test if the people walking past this specific street corner are actually thirsty.
Right.
If they aren't thirsty, it doesn't matter how beautifully carved the mahogany wood on your table is.
That distinction between testing the mechanism and perfecting the aesthetics is crucial. To prove you can actually quench that thirst, the Lean Toolkit requires your case study from that first client to act as a proof engine on your simple site.
Okay.
It requires a professional email address on your custom domain, which is about $12 a year, simply to signal that you aren't operating out of a personal burner account.
Makes sense.
And you need 3 to 5 pieces of core expertise content, maybe a thoughtful Twitter thread, a short newsletter, or a LinkedIn article, just to demonstrate your knowledge publicly so people can verify, what you are talking about.
The item on that lean build list that really caught my eye, though, was the onboarding document.
Oh, yes.
The text claims that writing out exactly what happens step by step the moment someone hires you reduces back and forth communication by 60%.
It really does.
But how does a simple PDF document do that much heavy lifting for a solo founder?
By actively anticipating the client's anxiety and answering their questions before they even have a chance to ask them. Think about it. When someone hands over their money, especially to a brand new side hustle they found online, their immediate psychological reaction is a spike of buyer's remorse or panic.
Oh, sure. Did I just get scammed?
Exactly. Did I just get scammed? What happens now? When do we start? An onboarding document that clearly states, here is exactly what I need from you today, here's exactly what I will deliver by Tuesday, and here is our designated communication channel, acts as a powerful tranquilizer.
I love that. A tranquilizer.
It stops you from accidentally becoming a full-time anxious customer service rep for a single client because you have completely removed the ambiguity from the relationship.
So you manage their expectations up front so you can actually focus your energy on doing the work.
Exactly.
The absolute last piece of this foundation phase is the payment system.
Yeah.
Setting up Stripe or PayPal or whatever processor you use. And the expert warning here is so brutally practical, you have to test it yourself with a real $1 transaction.
Yes. The author actually shares a painful personal lesson where broken payment links completely killed the momentum of their first major launch.
Ouch!
It is a harsh reality check. A functional, ugly payment link beats a beautifully designed, meticulously branded, but broken checkout page every single day of the week.
Every time.
The underlying philosophy of this middle block is building to working, not to perfect. It is very easy to let tweaking your website's color palette or obsessing over font choices become a socially acceptable way to hide from the vulnerability of actually asking people for money.
Which brings us to the final 30-day block of the blueprint. The infrastructure is done. You have a working payment link. You have undeniable proof your service works. But a perfectly clean store with no foot traffic makes absolutely zero money.
None at all.
We need the engine that generates leads. The source gives a very strict marketing mandate for this phase, the one platform rule. You pick exactly one social platform where your ideal clients spend their time, and you commit to it exclusively for 30 days, posting 3 to 5 times a week.
And you must ignore everything else. Not 3 platforms, not wherever I can automatically syndicate my content, just one.
See, I have to push back hard on this. Let's say I am launching a visual brand, like a graphic design business. If I only pick Instagram because it's visual, aren't I leaving massive amounts of money on the table?
It feels like it, yeah.
Like, what about all the B2B clients on LinkedIn who actually have corporate budgets to spend? Ignoring the rest of the internet when you lead clients seems incredibly risky.
It is a very common fear, and it feels like you're artificially limiting your reach when you desperately need it. But we have to look at the mechanics of algorithm saturation versus wide distribution, especially for a solo founder with limited time.
Okay, walk me through that.
Spreading yourself thin across 5 different platforms early on almost always guarantees mediocre generic content. You end up cross-posting things that don't fit the native culture of the platform. Exactly. The algorithms detect that lack of native engagement, which leads to zero real traction and massive burnout for you. Focus creates consistency, and consistency is what builds trust with a specific audience.
So, mechanically speaking, it's better to be a highly visible big fish in a tiny pond than completely invisible in 5 different oceans.
Precisely. The source even provides a heuristic cheat sheet to help you choose. LinkedIn is your engine for B2B services and consulting. Instagram is for visual or lifestyle brands. Twitter or X is ideal for tech, finance, and building thought leadership.
What about local stuff?
WhatsApp is surprisingly powerful. If you are running a hyper-local, community-based service, you find where your validated, thirsty audience already lives, and you firmly plant your flag there.
And the instruction for that single platform is to focus on teaching, sharing actionable insights, and documenting your process publicly. The text literally says, do not post and ghost. You have to engage genuinely with other people's content. But getting eyeballs is only half the battle. How do you actually get those eyeballs to buy? The sales strategy here relies on a framework called the warm outreach system.
Notice the heavy emphasis on the word warm. We aren't talking about scraping thousands of emails and blasting out cold spam that everyone hates.
No, nobody wants that.
The framework asks for a highly manageable 5 warm outreach messages per week. These are tailored, deeply human messages sent to people you have some existing connection with or whose content you have been genuinely engaging with over time.
The step-by-step breakdown of this outreach is fantastic because it feels so natural. Like, let's say you identify a prospect. Step 1 isn't sending a DM immediately. Step 1 is engaging with their public content for 5 to 7 days.
Yes.
Leaving real, insightful comments that add to the conversation, not just dropping a fire emoji.
Please, no fire emojis.
Right. And then step 2 is finally sending a direct message that references that specific content you've been engaging with. Something like, hey, your post on Tuesday about team burnout really resonated with me because of X.
And step 3 is crucial. You add value first.
Yeah.
You share a useful resource they might not know about, you make an interesting observation, or you ask a genuine question about their business. You absolutely do not pitch your service.
Which leads directly to step 4, the golden rule of this entire system.
Yeah.
You introduce your offer only if the conversation naturally opens a door.
Yes.
Like if they reply and say, yeah, burnout is killing our productivity, we just can't figure out a better workflow, then you can softly mention your consulting service. If they don't open the door, you do not force it.
Because forcing it destroys the relationship you just spent a week carefully building. This method treats the potential client with actual human respect. It shifts the dynamic away from aggressive lead generation to genuine relationship building, which mechanically has a drastically higher conversion rate anyway.
Makes total sense.
And while you are managing this marketing and sales loop, this final block has one last critical mandate. Systematize and document everything right now.
I was initially skeptical of that instruction. Like, if I've only got a couple of clients at this point, why am I wasting my limited time writing out standard operating procedures?
Because the chaos just hasn't arrived yet. The source warns that the absolute worst time to try and build a life raft is when you are actively drowning in the water.
That's a terrifying visual, but fair.
While your business is small and manageable is the perfect time to document your systems. You map out your exact client delivery process, you lock in your onboarding sequence, you finalize your invoicing workflow, knowing exactly when to send it, what to include, and how to follow up on late payments.
So you're preparing for scale.
Exactly. If you build these foundational systems now, you can handle the sudden influx of 10 clients later without losing your mind or dropping the ball on quality.
Okay, so we've validated the idea with real humans. We've built the bare minimum lemonade stand. We've executed a focused one-platform outreach strategy. And we arrive at day 90.
The big day.
The 3 months are officially up. Usually, the startup world treats this exact moment as a very binary pass-fail test. You know, you either have a thriving, profitable business or you're a total failure. But the text uses this medal system to measure success, which totally flips that toxic mentality.
It's much healthier.
Gold is obvious. You hit $1,000 in revenue and you have clear, undeniable data on what works. Silver is getting your first paying client and a strong testimonial. You might not have hit the financial target, but the engine is proven. But honestly, I found the bronze medal to be the most liberating concept in the entire book.
The bronze medal is fascinating because it completely redefines success for a beginner. Bronze means you simply have one validated offer and clear data on what needs to change in round 2.
You just learned something.
Right. You might not have made a single dollar in 90 days. But knowing exactly why a product failed, because you talked to real humans and gathered actual market data, is almost as valuable as the revenue itself.
You didn't fail. You successfully ran an experiment that disproved a flawed hypothesis, which puts you miles ahead of where you started.
So the only actual failure state in this entire 90-day plan is never launching at all because you were waiting to feel fully ready.
Exactly.
Which brings us to a quote in the text that feels like a targeted personal attack. Under a heading called Myth Busted, it dismantles the idea that you need months of private research and meticulous planning before you launch. The reality, the author states, is this. Planning without action is procrastination wearing a productivity costume.
Oof.
It is a brilliant articulation of a psychological trap we all willingly step into. Your brain is tricking you.
How so?
It gives you the dopamine hit of working on your business when you're just color-coding a complicated spreadsheet or tweaking a logo for the 20th time, but it actively protects you from the cortisol spike of a real customer saying no.
Oh, wow.
It is a complete illusion of progress. The text reminds us that your pristine, carefully researched plan is going to shatter the moment it interacts with a real customer anyway. Customers are always smarter, more unpredictable, and more complex than your assumptions. The goal is to launch fast, learn faster, and adjust fastest.
A launch side hustle that earns $200 and teaches you 5 brutal, real-world lessons about the market is infinitely more valuable than a perfect, unlaunched master plan sitting safely in your notes app.
Absolutely.
And the chapter doesn't just leave you with that thought. It ends with a literal contract with yourself. It instructs you to open your calendar right now. You set a reminder exactly 90 days from today, and you label it. Launch no extensions.
Wow.
It forces you to write down your first goal for week 1. By this date, I will have spoken to 10 potential customers about this specific topic. It makes it concrete.
It removes the warm, fuzzy comfort of someday. Someday is where side hustles go to die. This plan forces the issue.
So, to recap the journey the text takes us on today, we learned that you absolutely do not bake the cake before you confirm the guests actually like chocolate.
Right.
You validate with real humans, and you steal their exact, messy words for your marketing copy. You build the absolute bare minimum foundation to test if people are thirsty, and you double-check your payment links with real money. Finally, you execute a highly focused one-platform strategy using warm human outreach.
It's all about action.
This framework respects your time, it strips away the busy work, and it tackles the imposter syndrome head-on.
It really is a masterclass in generating momentum. And building on that uncomfortable truth about perfectionism, I'm going to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
If planning is often just procrastination, wearing a productivity costume when it comes to launching a business,
Oh.
think about the other areas of your life outside of work.
Oh, interesting.
Where else are you endlessly researching, endlessly planning, and endlessly preparing just to protect yourself from the vulnerability of actually taking that first real step?
What a profound question to end on. What are you baking in the kitchen that you just need to bring out to the party? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 90-day no bullshit launch plan. Open your calendar, set that 90-day reminder, and take step 1 today. We'll catch you on the next one.